and we will get going here. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Just a second, and I'll get everybody where I can see you. So a couple of you I can see Rachel and I can see Jacob. So I just need to have a thumbs up that you can actually see my Blackboard. All right. So I'm using Blackboard Ultra, and it is a little different. If you've taken something at NOC before, we've used the older Blackboard, but now I'm using Blackboard Ultra. But when you first come into Blackboard Ultra, you're going to start seeing these, what they call cards. And of course, the class that we're going to be using is General Physics 1. You will also likely see a General Physics laboratory. Everybody has to be enrolled in lab. If you are not enrolled in the lab, please let me know and we will get you doubled up so that it's in there. But we will not be using the Blackboard laboratory shell for this class. So if you highlight, if you come down and you look at other classes, you'll see that these aren't highlighted as favorites. You'll see there's the lab right there. It's not highlighted as a favorite. If you highlight it as a favorite, it'll put it up to the top, which will make it easy for you all to see where things are. That's out there. So you can see I'm teaching a couple of courses this summer, and we're going to teach general physics. And so we're going to do that. Now, the way this class runs, as you guys enrolled, that you saw that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were the actual class days, and Thursday was the lab day. Well, I'm not really going to do anything different between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I will always be on Zoom at about 4 o'clock. I try to get on about 15 minutes early, but like today I had a meeting that I had to come over from. Tomorrow I will be on the road and I'm attending a meeting, so I'll probably be right at 4 o'clock, but I will get on Zoom at 4 o'clock. I do not require attendance for the Zoom meetings, but I encourage the Zoom meetings, as that is where you all can come back and feed back to me what information you need. So it's really important that you do that. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the student preview so you can see a couple of things. And this will look like what you have. You were actually looking at my Blackboard, so that was a little different. Give it a second here. There we go. But I wanted to show you this because over here on Blackboard, you'll see this little envelope. This is the messaging feature on Blackboard, and that is a really good feature. And if you send me an email through there, it will go through, and I think it actually goes through much better than trying to email me from an OSU account or another account. If you message directly through Blackboard, I actually see it fairly quickly. I go in and look specifically for messages so that you can actually get there in the class. Here's our Zoom link, so you know it's right there available to you. So you have all of that information. But I want to highlight a couple of things in the new Blackboard. If you've ever used old Blackboard or even in the old Canvas, the calendar feature was not necessarily the greatest, but the calendar feature in this Blackboard is really, really nice. And if you click on the month, you'll see all of the items that have due dates. So as we scroll down, you'll see all the items have due dates that are in there, all the homework items. We're going to be using Cengage as our book. We're using Searway as our book, but you'll see that all of these things are there. While I don't physically take attendance in class, I did it tonight because there is a waiting list for this class because it seems to be a popular item. But we do have one of the things that I will take attendance with is the week evaluations. And those are easy points. And completing those says you've been in attendance all week. That's how I maintain attendance, is looking at those weekly evaluations. You'll see week 1 and week 2 are already there. There are the announcements. I do use announcements quite actively. And then there's the messages, and then you can go directly to your grade book. So I'm just going to go back to content here. Some key things you need to know. First of all, I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Dr. Frankie Wood Black. I'm the Division Chair for Engineering, Physical Science, and Process Technology at NOC. I have spent 30 plus years in industry, so I try to bring an industrial application to the class. Most of you I know are taking, physics is not necessarily the class that you wanted to run out and take. It's usually going to be required for something else. I personally enjoyed physics. I'm a physicist by training, but I'm actually a chemical physicist. So I have as much chemistry as I do physics. So I play in the margins. But I worked for Phillips Petroleum for 18 years. I worked for an environmental consulting firm for 8 years. And I've been at NOC for 10. And I still do consulting and still do a variety of other things. Some interesting things about me, I think when I posted, some of the hobbies, I live out on 40 acres. So that's kind of fun. Live in rural Oklahoma. So that makes things entertaining. And a lot of times you'll be able to see me through at home. And I have a Dalmatian and I have a dog that she's a red dog. And that's probably about all we can say about her. She was a foundling. And so we have that at our place. So that's a little bit about me. I would like for each of you to introduce yourselves in the discussion boards. We're likely to have various discussion boards on laboratories, those types of things that are there. And that's another good way to ask questions. Usually in each of the learning modules, there'll be a place to ask your colleagues in the class questions, because I'm not 100% online at any given time. You may want to post a question to your roommate or your classmate saying, hey, did you figure out how to solve this problem? So that's another way to get help. The way I've structured the class, again, we aren't going to use the laboratory shell. All of your laboratory information will be in this learning module. This gives you access to your book. And if you open up that folder, hopefully things will be in there, you will have the link. I will try to upload everything but announcements. I do a lot of editing on the as we teach the class. So if I'm working sample problems or if I'm answering questions, I will stop the recordings. And so anything that is specific to this summer class, this will be the link to the YouTube channel. But this is a link to my historic YouTube channel. And as you guys know, anytime you give a lecture or you respond to students, you might do something a little different. So even though I'll be giving lectures in this class, you might want to look at how I said it another time in the past. So that's my entire YouTube channel there. Don't get crazy. I've combined all of my General Physics 1. Physics 1 is our mechanics types of things. We're going to look at acceleration, velocity. We're going to look at forces. We're going to look at rotational motion. All of those things are there. And I do it both from an engineering physics standpoint and a general physics standpoint. And early on, I just put them all in one YouTube channel. So you do have that YouTube channel. I have other links here. This is a link to another textbook. So this gives you the OpenStax for Physics 1. This gives you another e-textbook. And if it's been a while since you've done your college algebra and trig, I also have a link to a college algebra and trig book. So trying to give you as many resources as I possibly can. This gives you how to obtain Microsoft Office products and Google Sheets. So we will be using Excel extensively in here. We will also be using Microsoft Word. So that is another resource for you. This is the video analysis tool. We will be using the video analysis tool to do several of our laboratories because we're going to do real world labs. You're going to measure gravity out in the real world. You're going to measure the periods on pendulums out in the real world. So we will use this video analysis tool. In here under references and guides, I have like single page PDFs, extra reference books, a lot of those different things like working with word problems and a general problem solving strategy. I have tried to provide you all with as many resources as to try and make physics as an easy learning experience as possible. We will talk more about the laboratory later on in the week, but I do want to highlight a couple of things tonight before we get there. Under the course welcome and navigation, there's a little bit of history about me. And then I have a lot of just good grading policies, prerequisites, net etiquette, just nice, helpful references and information. I do have a student contract that I need you to complete. And that's just being aware that this is a class that you're going to be responsible, knowing that where you can find the syllabus and knowing that I do take attendance, but my attendance is through my weekly survey. By completing this by tomorrow night, that tells me that you're planning on taking the class and we won't open up your seat for somebody else because we do have a waiting list. So you've got introducing your classmates. So I've got a couple places to introduce yourself to classmates. As long as you've done it somewhere, I'm totally happy. Then okay, I've got that hidden at the moment, but under instructor information, it's my contact information and a way to get a Zoom meeting with me. I will get that open for you. And then here are the syllabi for this class that's there. And we'll open this one up just so that you can see a few things. The new Blackboard is kind of nice. You don't have to download everything. A lot of things you can read directly from the screen. So that makes life a lot better. But there's a lot of just the normal stuff. This is my office phone. This is also my phone in Enid. So you can leave a message. But again, messaging me through Blackboard is probably the best. We will be using the Firefox app, and you don't have to worry about this class key for WebAssign through Blackboard. You should be able to go directly into the WebAssign, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. We will be using the Firefox application. There's one for iPhones, there's one for Android, and what that does, it's a completely free application, but it's going to allow your phone to become a physics laboratory. We'll also be using Google Sheets, OpenStax, a variety of different things there. But the key things that you all want to know is down here under the grading policies. I want you all to be aware that my grading is different. It is not your typical 90 to 100 is an A. It's 87.5 to 100 is an A, 75 to 87.4 is a B. That I have several students that will drop the class thinking that because I don't have that 90, I don't have an A. And that is not right. And you don't want to be dropping this class with a solid A or a solid B. If you're concerned, please email me first. My grading schedule is that homework and assignments are 25% of the grade. You have complete control of your homework and assignments. Quizzes will be in Blackboard or in WebAssign, and that's another 25% of your grade. And again, you have complete control of your quizzes. The laboratory is 20% of your grade. So if you will add all that up together, that's 70% of your grade. And notice that If you've got 70%, that puts you dead on in the C category. The way my WebAssign is set up, it's a little harder in the summer, and I'm aware of that, but my WebAssign is set up to actually give you bonus points for completing your homework early. So if you start your homework and start getting it, your bonus points are on there by problem part. So if you get even one part of the problem solved before it's due, 48 hours before it's due, you'll have plenty of time to get in there. There's a reason that I do that. One is that with physics, think of it as puzzles. Your homework problems are actually a lot of puzzles. And if you've ever worked on puzzles, you know that sometimes if you give your brain a chance to rest, it's going to solve the puzzle. Also, sometimes the physics problems are going to take longer than 10, 15 minutes to solve. And if you're waiting until 30 minutes before the due date is for your homework, you're not going to be successful. But notice that 70% of your grade is totally within your own control. I will drop a quiz, but one of the quizzes I will not drop is the end of semester quiz because it's a good review for the final and I use it for my assessment, but I will drop at least one quiz. I tend to drop 2 laboratories. So because life happens and we can't always get all the laboratories in there. So I do drop the 2 lowest laboratory grades. And then your tests are, the exams are 20% of the grade and the final is 10% of the grade. So there is an opportunity for extra credit. It's built into the system and it's mainly with homework that's in there. So that should give you some confidence that you can actually do this. Trust me, people have done this. Actually, I can tell by the large group of students that we have, you understand because this is by my word of mouth and you know that your friends have done this. So it's totally doable. And I generally will respond to emails or messages within 24 hours. I will tell you weekends, I will be a little slower and I will let you guys know if I am traveling or if I am doing something that makes it some of that going to be a little delayed, but I generally will do that. So let's look at how I will have some fun things here, like the weekly listen, some other general reading. I like to bring science home that we see what we're seeing in the news and things like that. So those are just kind of fun things that are in there. But how I actually run the class, which most of you are probably interested in, is here's the discussion board that if you have questions or need help, hey, I can't find that. Has anybody had an issue with problem number 3? How have I got things that are dealing with XYZ? Use that as that discussion board because somebody in the class may be able to help you faster than I can. All my Zoom recordings for this particular module, I will upload in here. Typically, I upload the modules because it takes a little while to process. I typically get those Zoom videos uploaded within 24 hours so that you have them. But you will notice that you probably have more videos than you ever would want to see in class. So what you'll want to do is you'll see as we go through here, I've broken them up into chunks. And the first set of lectures are on estimates and conversions. And typically I will have a folder that has the lectures in it, and then a folder that has examples, supplements, YouTube videos that are related to it. I do like the organic tutor. The organic tutor has some things in there. And so these are the ones that I kind of expect you to actually watch and look at and look through. Some of these are YouTube links. So because sometimes because of bandwidth, YouTube's easier for some of you than others, or you can watch them here, but you'll see that those are links, but those are kind of this is what I expect, you know, to actually look through. But again, some of those may be duplicates because one's just the link to the YouTube. In the examples, those are for you for there. Use what makes sense for you. Use what doesn't make sense, use them as you need. I'm not necessarily expecting, but if somebody asks a question like, hey, I haven't done a two equation, two unknown type problem in forever, what might that look like? Or I'm having trouble with this homework problem. What might that look like? Those kinds of things are going to be included in here. And you can see I have numerous past homework problems. I've got numerous past videos. But again, all of these are there for your information, because if you were to sit down and watch every one of my videos that I've put into this class, you're probably going to go blind, because there's tons of stuff that's there. It's there. And some people are going to get a topic, and some people are going to go, oh, that topic is rough. That topic is really, really rough. But some people are going to go, all right, but then you'll come later in the semester and you go, oh no, I need a little help with that topic. I'm trying to provide you with that help. So you can see that and I've tried to put the number, like there are the lectures, here's some more lectures, here are more videos and solutions. But the key things that you're going to need to look at are under the assignments for this learning module. If you click under here, these will give you, right now, these are the answers to this one. But this is, you're getting started in WebAssign. I would really like you to have that done by Wednesday. I'm not worried about the points. This is just making sure that you've gotten into WebAssign and you're not having any technical difficulties. I do things that say PW are pre-work, meaning I know that you're getting that material before we've even covered it in a lecture, or it's just getting you to start thinking about it ahead of time. These are generally lower points. They're like 5 to 10 points. You will have extra assignments like estimate the number of baseballs that can be put in a 55-gallon drum. So we're going to apply some of the information that you get in your lectures and what we talk about. You're going to apply that and put that in as an assignment. But all of these are linked to your WebAssign. This is your weekly evaluation. And one of the questions that will be asked is, what's not working for you? What is working for you? What help do you need? What problems do you need? Those are all things, because as we start going through the semester, you guys are really going to drive my extra lectures, because as you can see, I already have a lot of the lectures there, but you guys get to drive, hey, this is what I need more information on. After the end of the first 2 weeks, you'll have your first test, and all your tests are open book, open note, open resource. And as we get closer to that, we'll talk about what's in there. I will tell you your final exam is a little different. I do multiple choice on your final exam because I beat you up all the way through the semester. But that way it's in there. So your first exam is going to be due on the 26th of May, and we should be in good shape for that. So I'll stop and ask, are there any questions about how the class or the lecture part of the class is kind of outlined? And feel free to use the chat.
I'll probably just have a question about so the calendar will actually tell us everything that is due, right? Because it feels like everything that is due is kind of in a different spot.
No, actually, most everything that's due, okay? In the lecture, if you come down here, assignments is where I'm trying to put everything. The only thing that won't be here are your exams and the laboratories. And the laboratories will be up under the laboratory section.
Okay.
But if you go up here to the calendar, it's going to show you everything that's due in the topic. And one of the things that I try to do during our Zoom meetings is try to update you on what's coming up due. And like that 55-gallon, we'll talk about this one more tomorrow, that, that assignment for the baseballs and the 55-gallon or the 55-gallon drum. We'll talk a little bit more about those assignments because those aren't your traditional online homework type assignments.
Okay.
And I try to go through that each time we get together in Zoom. And if you have, and that's one of the reasons that we have a synchronous time, so that you can ask questions about, hey, what's there, what's due, that kind of thing. Other questions? Okay.
Wait, I know you said the final is going to be multiple choice. So does that mean our other exams are all like open-ended?
Yep.
Okay.
All your other exams are open-ended. You have to, and even on the exam for the final, you have to submit your work in order to get full credit. And I give lots of partial credit. Yeah, the final, trust me, multiple choice on the final, I don't give partial credit, but by then most of you know exactly where you're going to be in class, because by then you've got 90% of all your other grades are there. It makes it easy, so it turns around a lot better to do the multiple choice. But I also have a practice final that has lots of multiple choice questions that you can go through and practice on. So it's not going to be, it's really, people won't typically have a hard time with the final. You have I challenge you more on your other ones. So for the first laboratory, is going to be graphing in Excel, and we'll talk more about this probably on Wednesday. So it's in here for that one, but I wanted you just to start seeing the IO lab. This is another tool that we're going to be getting, and I wanted to make sure that you all know how to get the IO lab, because several people will try to go to the OSU bookstore, and the OSU bookstore does not have it. And I know some students have study buddies that they're working with. I know a couple of different folks. So I don't care if you share an IO lab, that doesn't bother me at all. My only request is that when you guys are doing your labs, that each individual person write their own lab report. So you may work with may get together with somebody else. In fact, I encourage that, but you really want to make sure that you're doing it. But if you go here to the NOC bookstore and you click on the bookstore link, and everything is moving a little slower, and you go under your textbooks here. Click your summer, and we click physics. And we're going to do general physics because I think they put it under the class. And it's me. They've got the sin gauge, and that gets you your book. And all of it's inclusive. So I guess they did do it under the lab. So we'll go back and do it under the lab.
So we need to purchase that book for the lab?
No, this is the IO lab. You've actually already been billed for, because it's inclusive access. You have some choices. Some people have Cengage Unlimited. And if you have Cengage Unlimited, you're already covered for that. And so the book is already attached to the course, but this is the IO lab that we will be using for several of our laboratories. And basically, for any of you who've ever been through a biology lab or something that uses the Vernier system, this gives you a Vernier system for at home. It has 3 little wheels on it. You get to collect the data for a variety of things. I will tell you, if you're using a Chromebook, I would encourage you to find a partner, because the Chromebooks were not necessarily as compatible with this, but we've been able to work it out with a lot of different things. But it's an IO lab, and I'm gonna see if I have one in my office. I have one at my desk at home, but that we will be using for a variety of the laboratories, in addition to using your cell phone as a laboratory device, or your video camera on your computer. We typically have not had too much trouble with folks being able to get through this with our virtual lab. It's not really a virtual lab, it's just that you get to do it hands-on at home. Other things that you might need for lab is like a piece of string. When we do the pendulum lab, you need a piece of string and a weight. So it could be a key, it could be anything. Most of the labs are going to be fairly easy to obtain, other than what we use this for, or your cell phone for. The stuff that you'll use are going to be stuff that you can find around the house. Okay. All right. So I've given you a lot of information. I will tell you that the likelihood of us staying on a Zoom call for 2.5 hours is going to be slim and none. Unless you guys are just asking all of those questions, because people get glazed over on Zoom. But I will stay on as long as anybody needs me to. Typically, what I will do is I will cover the specific assignments that people need, and I'll cover any of the questions that have come up. So giving me questions ahead of time is better. I will also do some general overview lectures based off of where people have had trouble before, or where you guys are telling me you have trouble, so that you have all of that, because I know a lot of you are trying to squeeze this in with work and a variety of different things. But the things that I need you to do by tomorrow is introduce yourself to the class, do that student contract, and then I would really like for you to make sure that you go into WebAssign under this assignments here, and at least get into getting familiar with WebAssign. And basically all you have to do is click on it, and it should take you right into your WebAssign assignment. So there it is, and you just say launch. And that way I know that we're not having any technical difficulties for folks. So those are the key things that I need you to do by tomorrow. And everything's running slow today. So I'm going to stop share. Questions, concerns, something that didn't make sense?
Can you walk me through where to find the what was it? I just had it. It was one of the things that you listed just recently, like a form that we have to fill out.
Oh, they under the course that you'll go to the course evaluation or the course welcome and navigation. Click on that, and it'll say student contract. And actually, let me show you guys another shortcut. If you go to the calendar, and go to tomorrow. And those dots will tell you that something is due. And you scroll all the way down because those are going to be due it's going to be due at about midnight. You can click on the assignment through the calendar. So you can click from calendar, click on the assignment in the calendar. One of the things that, depending on your view on your, whatever device you're using, make sure you scroll all the way down because some things are hidden. So you can see on Wednesday, there's several things that are due on Wednesday. Again, most everything is going to be due at the very end of the day. Or I do things, the pre-work I try to have due right before class. So this right here is the getting started with WebAssign. Again, this is trying to make sure that there's not a technical problem. And then pre-work is before we get together to talk about that particular topic. So that's what we do right at the beginning of class time. And class time is technically at 4 o'clock. And then we have the estimate, the number of the baseball. So they'll see dots. It'll tell you how many things are due, and it'll tell you right there on the calendar. I have somebody had a question in the class. How to buy the tool for the lab. You go to the NOC bookstore from the NOC webpage. You'll click on textbooks. You'll populate it with the information there. It'll come up with that right there. And then you can rent or buy, and you just add it to your cart. And most of the stuff from the Tonkawa bookstore, I think you can have it delivered to the NOC place over in, I think it will, when you check out, it'll tell you how to get there. But our first lab doesn't require this device. Our first lab is using Excel and using spreadsheets and learning the video analysis tool, which is already in Blackboard. Other questions? Again, feel free to message me.
Do we absolutely need to have the tool, or is that something that we can work around?
No, that IO lab is something that you probably need. For the labs, use the IO lab. Yeah, we don't use it for physics 2, but we do use it for physics 1 because we'll look at motion matching, and you use the wheels for it. We look at force equals mass times acceleration. We look at simple harmonic motion. So we do use it quite a bit. We look at friction. We look at spring constants. All right, I'll hang out for anybody else. And again, I'm on at 4 o'clock. I usually get on about 15 minutes early, but tomorrow I will be attending a meeting in Oklahoma City. So I'll probably be right at 4 o'clock before I join.
Where do we find chapter 1 at?
You'll go down and it'll be under Introduction to Physics in Motion. And if you click on that particular box, you'll find all that material.
Okay, thank you.